Hi everybody, this is Michael Hildebrandt and I'm your host on the Sleeptrust podcast, where I'm talking about how to gain back trust in your ability to have a superb sleep again.
In this week's episode of the Sleeptrust podcast, we are in the midst of our anniversary top 5 walkthrough. Today we're going to listen to the Sleep Affirmations replay, and I hope you enjoy this episode. This is also going to be the last episode of the meditation series that we kicked off a couple of weeks ago. And to be clear about meditation, it's kind of a really over-marketed thing. So when we're talking about meditation, it's about thinking and feeling in a quiet and relaxed state of mind. It's nothing to do with, things that you need years of practice. You can do it right away. And everybody does get into meditative states over the course of a day without even thinking about it. Every time you daydream, you're in a meditative state, and you would not get into sleep if you would not pass these states too. So this is kind of the way I want us to look at this when we're talking about meditation, in particular in this week's episode. And there's another thing I want to announce here. Sleeptrust is on Instagram now. So check it out. Search for hashtag Sleeptrust or just search for Sleeptrust. I'm going to hook a link to the Instagram page at sleeptrust.eu. You'll find it in the show notes to this week's episode. And I think it's a great platform. I do not have a clear strategy in place for that right now, but I'm sure I'm going to share personal information and, of course, lots of sleep-related things that you can use in your favor. And for this week, I'm going to publish one sleep affirmation a day for the next 7 days. So check it out. Follow me on Instagram. I'm really looking forward to get in touch with you there. So let's walk through this week's episode together. For those of us who have not heard about affirmations till today, affirmations are a very simple concept. Affirmations are straightforward sentences that we repeatedly say to ourselves to program our minds. And for those of us who say, okay, that sounds a little bit strange to program our minds, yeah, I'm absolutely with you. We're not a machine, we're kind of more than that. And maybe we should just call it something else, but I don't have a better word for it. So let's have a look at what happens and why we want to use this technique of affirmations in our favor. If you look at our bodies, we've got these super sensory factors which give us the ability to see beautiful pictures, listen to music, and feel all sorts of different feelings. And all of this information that is kind of dropping into our minds, into our bodies, it's simply too much. So it has to get filtered through a part in our brain. And this part of our brain is called the reticular activating system. So the job of the reticular activating system, or RAS, is simply to filter out information that is not in our favor or does not interest us, which is a great thing to do if you think about it. Because there would be no point in, kind of trying to handle everything that's going around. But on the flip side, if we get into the habit of seeing things too pessimistic, maybe, seeing things that could go wrong, seeing things that are not in our favor, seeing things that are not working well for us, over time, we're going to develop a filter on only seeing that kind of stuff going on. So this is not the reality. The reality is not good or bad, it's just there. But as soon as we evaluate the situation and give a meaning to it, things get really interesting, of course. So let's walk through an example of a sleep disorder that millions of people out there have, so it may relate to you right now, and give you back the control to kind of a next step that you can do to get this back into your natural sleeping pattern that you deserve to have. So let's say you wake up at night and are afraid that you cannot fall asleep because in the last nights this was the case. And at some point in the past you were able to sleep well. So it might have started like this. You woke up one night. You may have just had kind of a bad day, something like that, which happens to all of us, and you were not able to fall asleep again. So then the second night, this happened again. Okay, that got you aware that something's going on. The third night, you woke up again, and by the way, we all wake up every night 20, 30 times. And it's just important for a healthy sleep to wake up because we have to move, that our bodies do not get pressure points on, over hours at the same points. So, but now you wake up, and every time you wake up, you will be aware that you wake up. You may look at your alarm clock and say, oh my God, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. And I will not, and this is the point where you are actively starting to program, excuse me to that word, still don't have anything better, but you're starting to program the RAS system, and the affirmation that you are pushing right behind that RAS is probably something like, I will not be able to fall asleep again if I wake up at night. So that's basically what you're pushing into your brain, your mind. And eventually you're going to have a real big sleep disorder because you're going to wake up, you're going to be alerted right away. The RSA will not say, okay, this is normal process. I'm not going to take care. He or she is just going to fall asleep again. He's going to alert you, say, you woke up. You wanted me to tell you. You want to really focus on this now. So please look at your alarm clock. And then you're going to start the affirmation, say, I will not be able to fall asleep again, and that's how it happens. Of course, this is not what you consciously do, but this is what you're kind of afraid of, and then your mind starts spinning around. And we all do it from time to time. It's just important to know and realize that it is like this, because, and I'm going to underline that again, as soon as you realize this gives you the power back to do something. And affirmations, when we use them the right way, can really help you to get that in tune again and to let you sleep better again. So there are different categories or types of affirmations out there. You could sort them into cleansing affirmations or receiving affirmations, what you will get, what you are, so being affirmations, and acting affirmations, things that you are going to do. But in the end, it isn't that important. I think it's kind of the structure that is the same over all types of affirmations. You want to have a sentence that you can memorize. You want to repeat it many, many times over the course of a day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, maybe even months, as long as it takes. And you want to do so to activate the RAS in your manner. So it's going to focus on the things that you tell them to do. And you will build up belief. Saying, if you repeatedly say that you are a good sleeper and you start to believe this will shift your mind, and eventually you will become a good sleeper. This is only, of course, one example. Depending on what your issues you're facing, you may want to use another affirmation. I'll come to that in just a second. But this is basically how the concept goes. And to really ensure that this affirmation is going to stick, it's not enough to just repeat this. I think this is probably the major mistake that many people do. They just read a sentence or say a sentence one time, 10,000 times, and nothing happens. So this is the part where the meditation kicks in. You want to sit down with your affirmation and breathe in, breathe out, as we did it a couple of weeks ago, and really get into this relaxed state of mind and feel your affirmation. You want to see yourself sleep like a baby. You want to feel how it is to lay in bed, to fall asleep. You want to smell the cushion. You want to get as many sensory factors involved as possible to really deeply connect this feeling to your affirmation. And then, over the course of a day, you want to dip into this feeling as often as possible. Of course, it's not going to feel as intense as when you're doing your meditation, but just saying that affirmation is kind of as if you're tiptoeing into that feeling again. And tiptoeing over the course of a day will sum up to a huge amount. And this, over time, will eventually lead to a reprogrammed RAS and to change belief. So you will have a different way of feeling about sleep in the end. And this is why we're doing all of this. And if you're a person who says, okay, this might not be something for me, it doesn't really relate, or it feels a little bit strange listening to that, then you may be the person that in particular should try this. You've got nothing to lose. It's just a couple of minutes of effort every day. And the potential impact, positive impact, is just tremendous. You don't want to miss out on this. So let's walk through a couple of examples to give you the tools and the idea how to create your own affirmations. The first thing that you should consider is to keep your sentences kind of short. Don't write down a whole poem. You want to get a sentence that you can memorize and will repeat. Don't work with negations. So our unconscious is not able to work with negations, so you shouldn't use them. Rather than saying, I want to stop being a bad sleeper, say, I want to be a good sleeper. That's a thing that our unconscious can work with. It's the probably all of us heard that example of try to not think about a pink elephant. The first that comes to mind is a pink elephant. That's kind of how our unconscious mind works. So keep it straightforward and keep it specific to what you want to have. If you want to be a good sleeper, say and put that into your affirmation. The third thing is that you should address the thing that you really want to address. So let's say, assume, because it's a sleep podcast, of course, you are not sleeping good and you're having problems falling asleep, but you are having problems falling asleep because you are worried. There's no point in setting up an affirmation saying, I want to have a good sleep. Okay, there is a point to doing that, but there would be a better way. And that would be to address the worries. So you could say something, and let's just jump into an example right here. I'm going to do this out of my mind, so it's probably not an optimal phrase now, but something like, worrying at night, because you've got the worry, you want to pick up that worry thought. A clever way to do this. Worrying at night only reminds me that I feel safe, connected, and lucky. So worrying at night only reminds me that I feel safe, connected, and lucky. And this might or might not, you have to create your own affirmation to get it really powerful. This addresses the underlying problem to the not falling asleep theme. You could also put a little sentence after that and say, I will sleep now. Worrying at night only reminds me that I feel safe, connected, and lucky. I will sleep now. That could work. Try to do this in a little meditation series, and you'll kind of feel which sentence is good for you, what helps you to get in the right emotional state. Really see, feel, get involved. Yeah, and then repeat it constantly. I'll give you another example for an affirmation. With every breath I take, I feel that I will sleep better and better at night. With every breath I take, I feel that I will sleep better and better at night. So that's kind of tricky because you're hooking and attaching the affirmation to something you're doing on a constant basis. So you're breathing, of course, in and out, and with every breath you take, so you're picking up that and anchoring kind of what you want to have to your breathing pattern. I feel that I will sleep better and better at night. These were only little examples to show you not only the tools, but also to walk you through the process of how to come up with your own affirmation that really fits and serves your personal situation. And if you found an affirmation that works for you, it would be great if you could go to the Sleeptrust Facebook page and share it there to help others, help the community, give something back to others that may not be in the creative state of mind or just didn't find the right affirmation yet. So I would really personally appreciate you doing that. I'm also thinking of setting up an affirmation meditation for you that will walk you through dozens of sleep empowering affirmations to help you sleep better. But before I continue thinking about that, I have to finish other work first. I've got a sheep count meditation, so the classic sheep counting in a new modern way, which will really help people to fall asleep faster. And I cannot wait to get that published. I will share a shorter version for free for you as a podcast listener, because I believe, first of all, I'm super excited, and the more people can listen to it, the happier I am. And I believe that even if I give you a 5-minute version, that will probably be enough for the most people to simply fall asleep. With that, let's wrap up this week's episode of the Sleep Trust podcast. Affirmations are things that we repeatedly say to ourselves. They can be good or bad and influence our reticular activating system, which is the filter of our mind. To set up an affirmation, we want to dive into this affirmation emotionally using a meditation technique and then dip into it over the course of a day as often as we can. To get reminded of our affirmation practice, we may want to use a picture in the lock screen of our phones or any other thing that will remind us to do so over the course of a day. Last but not least, think about not using negations because our unconscious mind is not capable to work with them. So articulate your affirmations straightforward and clear. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Sleep Trust podcast and that you tune in next week when we're going to reach number 4 out of our top 5 podcasts, which is all about aging and what you should consider and know about aging when it comes to sleep. Until then, have a superb sleep.
Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Sleep Trust podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to get further information on this podcast or material that will help you to gain back your sleep trust, please check out sleeptrust.eu. That's sleeptrust.eu, where you will get lots of information around sleep. And here comes some legal stuff. Everything on this podcast is my opinion only, so do not take it as an advice, as I am not a doctor, nor have I considered your personal situation. If you feel that you need medical advice, please consider getting an appointment at your doctor of trust. If you want to give me any kind of feedback on this podcast, feel free to email me at podcast@sleeptrust.eu. I hope you tune in again next week, and until then, have a good sleep.